Hey Forza heads, so since update 20 we've now got the meetups in Forza Motorsport, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to see if meetups are one, a safe place to come and test your car out, and two, I'm going to run you through the telemetry and how to read it, how to understand it and how to use it to improve your cars. I personally tune with or without telemetry, it doesn't make too much difference to me, I go off feel, but if you want to understand the telemetry, keep watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the video, check out my other tuning guides, and we'll get into it. So we've got a BMW M3 1997 that's set at B class at the moment. We haven't done anything to the engine. The performance upgrades are mild. It's just sport brakes. We've got the suspension. We've got one weight reduction. Tyre compound is on sport. We've got the width on 235 and 265, and then we've got the clutch, transmission, driveline, and differential, plus the rear wing body kit. So that brings us to 600. I'd say it's mild modification. It's going to be pretty much like an improved stock M3. We're going to run it through a lap, and I'm going to run through the telemetry and try and explain to you exactly how you read it and understand each sector of it and what you're looking for. So without further ado, let's join the event, see how clean it is. So we're also going to see if we can get a clean lap and able to explain this without someone in our class ramming us in the backside or catching up with anyone else. But we're the slowest car in here, I think, B class, so it should be down to more people ramming into the back of us. So let's start the lap off first, get through this point, get everything sort of up to temperature. Right, we'll get the telemetry out. So what we're looking at here first is we're looking at the tyre friction. So generally you don't want to be seeing more than 120%, and you want to be keeping that ring blue. Generally when you see it sort of preloading in and out, that's what you've got to imagine, that's the compression of your tyre going in and out, up and down as the weight transfers over the few little bumps in the track. And then basically when it gets to the outer rim, when you're going round a corner hard like this, you should sort of stay blue, maybe slightly tweaking to the red, because you need an element of being able to oversteer it and overwork it. You need a bit of human control, otherwise your tune will be holding you back. So as you can see, if we get round the corner here, generally we can keep the line pretty blue. What you're looking at, like I say, is basically the arrow in the middle. The blue line is the tyres, and the orange line, they express one. The blue line expresses the movement of the tyres, and the red line expresses the friction direction of the tyres. So when you see them miss a line, that's basically your tyres are sort of changing form or changing shape. So by how much? If you've got them soft, they're more likely going to change shape more, but it doesn't mean that it's better to run them soft or hard. It depends on what car you're in, what you're looking for, and what track you need to be on. This is quite a bumpy track, so generally we're set up to suffer the big compressions and the couple of jumps that you might hit. You can see the front tyres there pretty much staying blue all the way around. So like I say, what you're looking at is keeping that line inside the blue circle, and the blue circle is going to move as your friction increases. And if you're looking at peak friction, you want it to be around 100 to 120% of the max. As soon as it starts getting over 120%, you will start losing grip like that. You can see it goes red, look, red circle as soon as you lose traction. So what you will need to be able to do is throw about 110%, 120%, and what you want is your rear to be slightly lower than your front going into a corner, because that will give you the control. But if it's like running at 40 and 60% and you're getting 110% out the front, then you want to just decrease your front roll bar or increase your rear roll bar to create more rotation. That's going to be your main primary point to get more rotation, to see how much the car can take. Then you can balance everything out with aero at a later date. But you can see here, look, that we're trying to keep the circle as blue as possible on the perimeter. You can hear the screech when it just starts turning red, and you know, ready to just come off the throttle a little bit. Obviously on a track like this you have to suffer the fact that your tyres aren't always in full contact, because there's a lot of undulations and bumps. But if we move through, we then got the springs. So this is basically to do with your spring rate and your dampers. So you can choose to stiffen it up either way, spring rate or dampers. I probably wouldn't do both. If you're going to run soft springs, run hard dampers. If you're going to run hard springs, run soft dampers. On tracks like this, you might want to prefer hard springs and slightly softer dampers, just because of the compression points. But what you're going to be looking at is that bar in the middle of the suspension is basically the the comfort point where your suspension wants to be sitting most of the time. Like you see there, it's just hovering over it nicely, not bouncing around too much. But then when you go to the points in which you're dropping or going over, if it hits the top, that's basically your suspension fully closing. If it hits the bottom, that's your suspension fully opening. So it's okay if it fully opens when you're going over a bit of a jump and you're coming airborne, but generally over the small tracks, small lumps and bumps, you don't want it bouncing far between up and down. Like you can see, as we're driving quite smooth, it stays quite smooth, not really doing too much before or over the line. We're not really pushing the suspension to its limits. It's nice and comfortable, and that makes the car nice and comfortable to drive. Basically, if you want to increase the amount the suspension moves, like softer suspension, you would decrease the spring rate or increase the range of the bumps of the preload. So if you increase the range of the preload, that will allow the suspension to open up or close more. So sometimes on this I'm running at about 3 on the preload, which would be the compression, and I'm running all the bump, and then I'm running it on 9 on the rebound. So think of the bump like the compression, and the rebound the way that it fires out. So I'm running 3 on the compression, 9 on the rebound, and that generally keeps it between. But then what I've done is I've softened my spring rate so it can float over these bumps, and if you do hit a curb, it doesn't suffer you too much. If you have the spring rate too hard and your rebound too fast, then you will start getting a jack-in-the-box effect off of your off of the curbs. You can see I can still manage to hit curbs quite nicely. But basically, if you'll find you've got a lot of travel in this white line, it's going dropping to the bottom and going to the top a lot. It's because your spring rate's too low and your compression probably too high and your dampening's too low. So I'd suggest probably putting it at 3 and 9 and then dropping your spring rate to about quarter of the way. You can increase the spring rate all the way up to about 3/4 of the way, and that'd probably set you up more like a real GT car. Probably get more of the feel like you're doing ACC, where it'll plough over the curbs and jump about a bit. Ooh. Got a Formula 1 car coming past here, nice and clean, see? That's not too bad. Fair play to him. That's what we're testing as well, whether it's a clean place to come and test your tunes. So let's check the next piece. So this is an interesting one. So the G-force, so that dot, the outer circle represents for the car that you're in how much maximum G you can get for the sort of setup you've got, I suppose, what it can handle. So the tyre choice you've got, the suspension you've got. So what you want to be doing is, as you go round a corner at maximum G, you want to be able to get one of these blue markers to sit right on the outside of the line, as far out as you can. If you're not getting out there, then there's more grip and more turn to be had. So what we're looking at is to see where these blue markers come. You can see under braking it flips right forward. Get one look on the left hand side there, we're right on the outside of the marks. You can see we are hitting the maximum G's for what this car is kind of available for. You can sometimes just exceed that line. You'll exceed it if you hit the wall. But yeah, what you're looking at is being able to, so that line represents the G. What you need to be able to do is hold a corner with that line right near the outside of the circle. Between the middle circle and the outside circle is your optimal range, but the closer you can get these blue dots to flash up on the outside of the circle, like here we should get a good one, I think. Oh no, we lost a bit of slide. You can see there with slide it's staying on the inside circle. For maximum grip, I mean we aren't running aero on this car, so but for maximum grip you'd want to be seeing it flash up. If you look there on the right hand side at 3 o'clock, you can see I've got a blue circle on the outside, so we have hit maximum G still. It's just this car's a little bit more finite without the rear spoiler, but you should be able to hit them sort of G points on the car as you're going round. Still on a clean lap, can't see anyone behind us. Well, I don't know if we're on a clean lap, but still not been bumped off by anyone, so it's seemingly a clean place. We've got someone here in front of us. We're in top gear. We're going to see what we can get around these corners. You can see with the soft suspension and the hard damping, it's quite supple over the curb still, but stiff over the bumps on the track. We're about to find out how clean this lobby is. So on the next one here, you're looking at your PSI. So generally the only thing you really need to worry about, and you'll find that all tyres actually work at a similar PSI. Street tyres generally take a little bit longer to warm up, but I'd say once they're warmed up, they all generally operate quite similarly. Fair play to me, there you go, just behind me, let him through. Managed to just sneak past the Porsche. But yeah, so what you're looking at is basically you want to stay under 230. What you find, most of the time I run the rear tyres just slightly softer than the front, so what we find is that we'll be sitting at around 220 on the fronts by the time we come out of the hardboard corner, and sort of 210, 215s on the rears, which is sort of optimal temperature, because that allows you a little bit of wheel slip before you overheat. If you start running them too close to 230, then as soon as you get a little bit of wheel slip, you'll be overheating. But look, you can see there we're staying below 220s and on the rears, and staying below 230s on the fronts, and that's giving us the ability to catch up with this Honda here. Thanks, mate. But yeah, basically all this screen is for your tyre pressure, just to make sure that you're running at a decent pressure. At the moment we're on 29 psi once we're running. I think we're sitting on about 28 and 26 psi maybe for the tyre pressures. You can see we're on 29 and 27 consecutively. Hopefully the Honda's going to come past on the inside. Oh no, he's hitting himself a bit of trouble. But look, it's pretty clean, to be fair. We're still having pretty fun. It's a foggy day at the Nürburgring, but let me know if there's any questions about the telemetry that you want to ask, why I send it into the dirt. No doubt a cameraman on the hill, I'm going to stick that on YouTube. But yeah, let me know if there's any questions you have about telemetry. But like I say, on this one you're mainly looking at the PSI and the tyre wear and the temperature. So like I say, you'll find all tyres, once they get past 230, that's when they'll turn yellow, and optimal temperature is just before you turn yellow, so you're going to say it's around 220. But again, you want to allow yourself a little bit of a ceiling to overwork the tyres onto a corner, so you don't bin it off straight away like I just did. But yeah, and then if we go to the next one, this is where it will show you the temperatures. See the rears are at yellow there, just above 230. As soon as you get below 230, they cool back down again. Now what you're going to be looking at this screen, this will show you the inner, the middle and the outer side of the tyre. Now to get this right for your camber levels, you generally want to be exiting the corner on a smooth corner. You want to watch out you're not overdriving the car when you're trying to read these stats, because they will very much, you know, peak the temperatures if you're trying to wheel spin everywhere, so you have to be a little bit smooth. When you look at this, you want to be exiting the corner and you want your tyres to be roughly the same temperature on the inner and the outer side. The middle doesn't necessarily matter too much, because you can overinflate and underinflate your tyres depending on what course you're doing. I'd be more inclined to underinflate my tyres slightly bit, so I'm not generally too worried about the middle. What you'll find is if the outer side is remaining colder than the inner side when you come off a bend, then generally you want to just decrease the camber slightly. If it's the other way, you just want to increase the camber slightly, but you want to be exiting the corner like we are now, and then you'll be looking at the top number and the bottom number, and they want to be the same because they represent the inner and the outside. So as soon as both of them are touching the floor, then you've got contact, whether the middle's just skipping a bit because you're underinflated or overinflated, underinflated, or whether you're pushing the middle a bit harder because you're overinflated. You know, if your centre's higher temperature than the two shoulders, you definitely want to consider dropping it. If it's lower, it's not really an issue, as long as you've got enough contact for the car you're in, because tyre width and things like that will all play a difference. So at the moment I'm running sort of 1.5 camber on both, and you can see basically when we exit a corner, we should hopefully, although they're going to cool down a little bit, we should hopefully have the front, or the inner and the outer at the same temperature. As long as we don't get too much of a slide like that, it's going to bake them a little bit. You can see they cool down roughly at the same temperature. We're going to get the left hand side up here. Got to be a corner where it doesn't slide really. You can see there they're cooling down at the same temperature. If you're overworking it, it will be different, but we want to be able to got to be smooth when you're reading it. But I find 1.5 on the camber is a little bit of a sweet spot, so you might find it's different on some of the other cars, or you might prefer it with a little bit more, but you want to be looking at these figures and just having, like I say, the inside and the outside roughly cooling down at the same period after the exit of the corner. On the side, that's the outside of the car, so if you're going right, you're going to be looking at the left hand temperatures cooling down. So after this bend here, we'll see what they cool down like. 16, 15, 13, 12. You see they look, they're at the same. By the time you're straightened up, they're at the same. And that's what you're kind of looking for, so then you can carry maximum grip around a bend. And other than that, you get onto the damage screen. This will tell you how much you've damaged the tyres. So at the moment they're all sitting at 8.5 and 8.4 and 8.6 and 8.6, so they're all pretty evenly wearing. It's another thing you want to look at perhaps with the friction screen here. So when you're on the friction screen, it will show you your peak friction. So that'll obviously be, peak friction will be mid-corner like this when the ring is filled up on blue on the outside like that. As soon as you start scrubbing out on a tyre, that ring will turn red. If you find that your fronts are on more grip than your rears, then you can apply a little bit more rotation. If you can find that your rears can exceed the grip quicker than your fronts, then you're going to want to decrease your rotation. And you can either do that by dropping front aero or increasing the front roll bar, or vice versa for the other way around. But yeah, so what you want to be looking at though, because this will tell you, because sometimes like I put toe on my tunes, and I've had comments put on there where people will say, oh yeah, I've seen people running 0 aero on the back, full aero on the front, toe and everything, and this would like shred your tyres in real life. Well, in Forza it does shred your tyres as well, because if you look, when you're going in a straight line, that's when you'll be receiving the least amount of friction. And to be fair, in a straight line, friction isn't your friend. In a corner, friction is your friend. You need to develop as much friction as you can within the limits of the car, but on a straight line you want the least friction as possible, because the friction is actually slowing you down. So by having a bit of camber on the wheels, it will slow it down, but then applying a bit of toe like I do on the front wheel drive cars and the four wheel drive cars, more importantly, or both of them more importantly, you will see that you'll be burning a bit of friction down the straight. So at the moment, as we go down the straight, we're burning 1% friction on the front wheels on this car, 1 to 2%. On the rears we're doing 6 to 7%, or 5 to 7% say. As soon as I apply a bit of turn, it will sort of go up. But you can see in a straight line, so if I reduce the camber, you probably increase the friction and the wear. If you increase the camber, you'll reduce the friction, but then you need to be aware of your tyre temperatures in the corners, so not to exceed this. But yeah, that's basically a guide to how safe it is to knock out a couple of laps in a standard BMW M3, and how to read the telemetry. If there's any questions you want to ask, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. If you did, like I say, if this video does help you out, give us a thumbs up and a like. Let's see if we can get other people learning it. Hopefully it helps you all with your tuning, and I'll see you in the next video. Just remember, when the clutch stops, bullshit stops. Let's see what lap time we did get while we were doing all that bollocks. Well, we managed to score an 8:01 in a pretty stock BMW, which I'd say is a pretty fast time. So there you go. It can have a safe fun in the meetups in Forza Motorsport, and I hope that helped you with the telemetry guide. Check out my other tuning guide videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.